Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm terrific.
Good, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Yay.
this is the first person I talked to live from Wisdompreneurs.
Oh, okay. Apart from people I already know, you're the first person I've talked to as well.
Right. How long have you been a member?
Maybe a few months, not
Yeah.
real long. Yeah, shortly before you joined, I think.
What's all that stuff behind you?
Boxes of interesting things, headsets, electronics, gewgaws,
Uh-huh.
vases, books.
Do you do videos with that in the background ever?
Yes, I do. I do short videos for Facebook with that background.
Cool.
Some people love it and some people hate it.
Really?
Yeah, it's too busy for some people. Oh well.
Yeah. I've been looking at this stuff by videos by a lady. It's always a completely clean background and everything, and that's really hard to set up for some people, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to talk about?
We're gonna talk about vision.
Vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was interesting the conversation that sprang up in Wisdompreneurs around that.
Right.
Uh,
Are you recording this, by the way?
yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just in case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. Yeah, it was interesting the comments. Where do I want to start? Well, I guess I'll just ask you what, because you had an. May I read what you said on Wisdompreneurs? I
Yeah,
really
sure.
liked it.
I can't remember exactly.
Right. What you said is the realization of the vision may be in the future, but the experience of the vision is now. And that vision is an embodiment of who you are. And this is what I particularly appreciate, Robert. So when you're living your vision, there's no place to get to as you're already there. And then you do stuff in the physical world that's a natural expression of that vision. And then, of course, you forget that and get caught up in the struggle of trying to get somewhere. And then you wake up again and realize it's all perfect as it is.
Sounds like my life.
Yeah, that sounds like my life too. I guess that's why I like it. It must be true because I recognize it.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the problems people have with vision is it's like getting anything. It's this vision of a future that will be better, and I will be happier in that future.
Right.
And that really is an illusion.
Exactly. Exactly.
Although I don't have a problem with goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that if our goal is to try to finally get to happiness, we're
Looking in the
you
wrong
know,
place.
we're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Right.
just picked up a book that I'd read years ago of a guy that I interviewed, and I turned to the chapter, and it was about that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was about the be do have instead of the have do be or the
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I I think there's, one of the things that I'm really working on a lot and trying to understand better is, what does it mean to be myself? What does it mean to be I? What is awareness? What is
Mm-hmm.
presence? What
Mm-hmm.
is all of that aside from all our thinking, all our thoughts, all our worries, all our limited beliefs, all of that? And, for most of my life, I tried to figure out some perfect external, you know, um, way that could all work somehow. And it never really worked out very well.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so have you heard of Rupert Spira?
No, I haven't.
Well, he's the man in non-duality these days.
Okay.
He's the guy.
All right. I'll have to check him out then.
uh, Two amazing books called Presence 1 and Presence 2. And I've attended some of his workshops. I'm attending another retreat in 3 weeks, in fact. And that's what he comes back to over and over and over again, is that who we are is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
but there's nothing you can pin down in that.
That's right.
So we're in agreement. So I guess we're done.
I guess we're done. That's one of the difficulties with conversations that touch on things like non-duality. It's just like, well, there's not a whole lot to say here.
He finds a lot to say in that he gets so deeply into what experience is, and what reality is and what it isn't, and in very understandable terms.
Right.
In a very, very profound way.
Right.
But what I'm working on right now is I'm working on this ebook thing, the Unstuck process, based on, sort of inspired by Byron Katie's process.
Mm-hmm.
You responded to me.
Yes.
So you used to actually be
a facilitator. Yeah.
A certified facilitator.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you have to spend God knows how many hours a month.
Exactly. And
reading the requirements and doing free sessions and.
Yeah, that didn't appeal to me, so I let my certification lapse.
Yeah. So tell me what you do for a living. What do you do? How do you work with people?
Well, what I have done for many, many years is I've been a coach since '96.
Yeah.
And I coached people on careers, on life issues, on business issues. And in 2001, I decided to focus on self-employed people with tiny, tiny businesses.
Same as my market.
Yeah, exactly. And particularly people who are allergic or think they are allergic to marketing, and helping them see that what they're actually allergic to is their own thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so recently I've become more and more immersed in how would I say it? And helping people see the simplicity of how our human experience is generated, and that if they can simply see how thought is creating their experience, they don't have to be so jerked around by their thoughts and experiences. My understanding is we don't get out of the human condition. Spiritual insight doesn't free us from being human beings. But we can, I know, that just pisses me off. I want my money back.
Yeah.
But we can see what's going on. And in seeing what's going on, we don't have to be, like I said, so jerked around by fears or beliefs. We can see them as illusory, let them happen, and when we just see them as illusory, they tend to move through more quickly, and we can get on with life.
Yeah.
So that's what my work is in a nutshell.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Sounds similar to what I do, except I work with a lot of the nuts and bolts of marketing with people.
Mm-hmm. I did that until 2 years ago, and then I just thought, there are people who do nuts and bolts better than I do.
Yeah. Well, with this ebook, I created the ebook. I don't know, did I send you to the website? I did.
Yes.
With the new website, this whole thing. It's sort of like a side business, just focusing on much of what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this process has been a really simple way to do it. I just get out of the way and ask the questions.
Right. So did I see somewhere that there are 12 questions?
Yeah,
or did I
have
make
12
that
questions.
up? Okay.
Well, and then I have, 50 sub-questions.
Sure.
Now Byron Katie says there's 4 questions, and then she goes on to ask 20 questions.
Right, exactly.
It makes the process easier, but it's more understandable if you're, asking more deeply and explaining some things, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of encouraging that you're finding a market for that.
Right. And I'm finding it beyond just business. I was talking to another coach, Isabel Parlett. I don't know if you know her work, but
is she in Wisdompreneurs?
I don't know if she is or not. She ought to be. Ought to be. She's done a lot of wonderful work over the years helping people with language, the language to express offers that in her terms are deep, rich, and hard to explain. So how do you come up with the language that will get those offers across and make them compelling? So that's her
Offers
work.
in business?
Offers in business, exactly.
Uh-huh. Right.
How many times have you and I heard from clients that they can't explain what they do?
Oh, yeah.
And she helps them with that in a lot of powerful ways.
Yeah.
And I said to Isabel a couple years ago, I said, God help me, Isabel, I think I'm becoming a life coach. Just shoot me.
Why? Because there's too many life coaches?
Because for years I've coached life coaches on not having too generic a niche.
Right, right.
And here I am going, I just kind of feel like working with anybody on anything these days. But I've been around long enough that I seem to be getting away with it.
Yeah. Well, there's no law written by God that says you have to have a niche in a certain way.
Exactly.
Sometimes your niche or your specialty is psychographic.
Well, what I've told people years ago is my niche is people who think Molly Gordon rock for whatever reason.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me too.
I just throw it up at the wall and see what sticks.
Well, I'm sure not everybody thinks this, but someone said, Robert, I don't care what you sell. Whatever you sell, I'll buy it.
Right, right. Well, the people that I have done business with over the years, that's kind of how I feel about them. They do good stuff, they do good work, and I want what they've got. So
yeah.
I think that's largely true.
Are you doing any writing? Have you written some articles on this whole thing you're doing?
Yes, I've written a newsletter since '98. And just recently changed to a monthly format from a weekly format. And then I have a blog that I add videos to every week. So that's just been a little shift into doing video. And it's an experiment since, I guess I've been doing it since the first of this year, which now is a fairly long time.
So how long are those videos?
3 to 5 minutes, usually more on the 3-minute side.
Do you prep much for them?
No.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
You have a topic? Just turn on the video and start talking.
I generally, I sit here and I think, okay, what's on my mind? What has come up from clients recently? Usually I'll do 2 or 3 in a single sitting on a single topic. So I can say, take 1 bullet point and do 3 bullet points in 3 videos. Sometimes it's just like, what? Do I have any thoughts at all? And then I'll look at things I've been writing lately or look at what I'm reading. But apart from thinking of like one core takeaway, I don't prepare. I just wing it. So they're very informal.
That's great.
Yeah. I have a whole setup and do more, not necessarily elaborate, but higher production quality videos for web pages and things. For a landing page, for example, I'll do a higher production quality video, not using a webcam, but a real camera. But it's a much bigger commitment, and there's post-processing time or waiting for an editor to deal with it. And
yeah. I
just want to be in touch with people.
Right. Well, I like you as you are with your background.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you do.
So I have Miles Davis in the background here.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That says a lot about me, actually.
So what does it say about you?
Oh, I'm a big jazz fan.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that appeals to you about jazz?
Oh, I don't know. I just love it. What can I tell you?
Right, right.
I have a very big collection. I listen to it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always looking for new things, new sounds, new expressions, new things that are exciting.
Right.
I buy a lot of music.
Yeah, good.
I keep Amazon in business.
Well, somebody's got to.
Oh, really?
That's great.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, did you see the thing that I posted on Wisdompreneurs that I was looking for a few articles as bonuses?
Right. Yes.
Would you be interested in sharing any of yours?
I would be delighted. You know,
Okay.
it seemed like you were being deluged with offers, so I just kind of held back and thought, I'll wait till we talk and see if it seems like a good idea.
Well, I've been working like a mad fiend, putting this all together. Yesterday, I just formatted all the articles I've got, but I'd like love a few more.
Okay.
And you're exactly in that wheelhouse. So
Okay.
maybe I could just look at your blog, or perhaps you know a few articles that would be good.
Right. Well, I did at the time do a search, and I can do that again. Search on the theme of unstuck and stuckness, and just send you a few links.
That'd be great.
That'd be easy to do.
What's your website again?
Shaboom Inc. ShaboomInc.com.
What is Shaboom?
Shaboom's from the old song, Shaboom Shaboom, and the refrain is "Life could be a dream." And I thought, well, that pretty much sums up how I feel about it.
That's good.
Yeah. So I've had that since I incorporated, I guess, in the year 2000, and my attorney said, please don't incorporate as Molly Gordon Inc., in case you ever want to sell a company or something. And I thought, oh, God.
As if we could sell our companies.
Right. And I thought, I don't want to come up with a name. How do you do that? And so, and this is how I do most things that work out. I just thought, okay, I'm just going to set it aside, and I went about my business. And one day I'm gardening, and that song runs through my mind, and I thought, I love that. Shaboom is a great company name, and Life Could Be a Dream. Just, at the time I was deeply into Jungian things, and it maps to my various the evolution of my understanding psychologically and spiritually. That phrase maps to all of those different stages. So it's worked really well.
Great.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for in your business right now? Where's your edge of growth right now, if there is one?
Right. The edge of growth for me is in a way a return, Robert, to deeper connections. For a long time, it was about building a bigger list, building a bigger audience, leveraging numbers, doing group programs instead of individual work. And now I find I want to do individual work, and I want to do small group programs if I do groups at all.
Yeah.
And I want to develop my relationships more. So I've been spending a lot of time in Facebook, for example, which doesn't produce immediate returns, at least hasn't for me, but has been an opportunity to develop richer relationships, both with colleagues and with, I don't even know if they're prospective clients. It's more like it's a community.
Yeah.
A community.
Well, Wisdompreneurs is amazing.
It is. And so the edge for me is creating a more intimate business.
Yeah.
And discovering what that wants to look like, and figuring out doesn't feel like the right phrase at all, discovering how that wants to turn into making a living.
Yeah.
And the first iterations of my business, and it's actually gone through several, have always been organic. And there have been times in that organic process when I'm reinventing, when I think, okay, enough with trusting the process. Let's get on with the show. And I'd start to try to muscle it.
Yeah.
And it never works.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I seem to have a time clock that goes off. For a couple of months, I'm okay with trusting the process. And then somebody kicks in and says, let's get on with it. But I just let go again, and the solutions always appear, and the relationships always appear, and then once a direction becomes clear, and an expression starts to take form, then I suspect, like you, I'm all over goals and focus and plans. But until that starts to take form, I find goals, focus, and plan just distract and confuse me.
Right. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So I'm kind of on that edge of moving from, I think, from having something come into focus into more of a goal, focus, and plan time. So that's my edge. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your business sounds a lot like my business.
Right.
And,
Trust God and tie up your camel.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because I just said a little bit about it. How do you see, how do you help clients navigate that territory between being open to inspiration, open to insight, open to whatever wants to unfold, open to vision in a spacious way, and focusing and setting goals and taking action?
Well, that's a good question. Right now, the main thing I'm doing is I have a group program.
Mm-hmm.
It has 28 people in it. I do a teleclass with them every other week. I do some one-on-one with them. I give them a lot of homework and stuff. And kind of interesting thing, I started this. I did a course with a fellow named Arjuna Ardagh. Do you know him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that, I don't know, something just clicked with me, and I thought, gee, I'm doing a lot of this stuff anyway. Why don't I make this a little more formal? So I said, I'm going to create this ebook. I'm going to create this website. It just all came sort of,
Right.
Just sort of downloaded from God knows where. And I just put it all together. And then I started and then I gave everyone in the group 3 free sessions in order to develop this and to validate it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I found kind of shocked me a little. I knew being stuck was an issue.
Right.
But I didn't realize how pathological it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is everything. It's like belief,
Yes, exactly. That's a good image for it.
Yeah, I've used that a lot. So you have to have some distance from that belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at it. So, and I also say that there are logistical issues in business, i.e., external issues. There's things that are multi-step and complicated,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing is inherently hard. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
just a belief. And so, what I'm working on is trying to find that balance between the inner and the outer,
Mm-hmm.
because I've done a lot of work. I call it the mindset work, but I realize I have to do more of that with people,
Mm-hmm.
emphasize it more,
Yep.
work on it more, because the to-dos of marketing can be subtle and can be complex, but if you're stuck in this, you can't even understand them.
Right.
Because it's like, that's too complicated. That will take too long. That's not the thing I can do. Blah, 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 blah. So it's finding the balance between, here's some external plans and steps. I have a whole, I've been developing this for years and years
Yep.
and years.
I think I was probably one of the first buyers of the Info Guru's manual.
Oh, you bought it? Okay. So, yeah, I sold a lot of those, thousands of them. And then I've been doing variations on the theme for, since I published that so a little over 10 years. 2000, I guess it's 14 years. So it's just finding a balance there, So I'm creating my next program for next year, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to integrate this work. But
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that people. Not everybody is as passionate as I am about being conscious and being an expression of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's there, but they haven't really studied it in much depth.
Right.
Or sometimes what they've studied is kind of superficial. I mean, things
Mm-hmm.
like The Secret and things like that.
Right.
Right.
Right. Don't get me started.
Yeah. The amazing law of attraction.
Yes.
It just has some value, I suppose. But so it's just finding that balance. And one of the things, I usually talk about 6 things at a time and try to bring them together. I don't know if you read that article that I posted from TAD on Polarized.
Yes, I did.
That?
Yes.
That just sort of rearranged my marketing molecules. It was very powerful for me. That don't be wishy-washy about something if you're really strong about it.
Absolutely. Exactly.
And I've been since the day I read Byron Katie's book, I've been writing about that kind of stuff. But it's sort of like, with the Unstuck Process website, etc., it's sort of like going all in.
Right.
Right. Then I'm sort of separating it from the business. But in my next group, I'm going to emphasize the inner work a lot more, and because then I attract more of those kind of people that are willing to do that, and just emphasize how important this is, how that leads to bigger breakthroughs than any technique ever could.
Exactly.
As important as techniques are.
Exactly. And I'm sure you've taught this. It's a big world, and when you've got an online community and you're proficient doing business online, there are plenty of people who want a deeper understanding as potential clients. You don't have to please other people. And I think that being willing to polarize is so important.
Yeah. And then I need people. Is that true? I want people that can afford to pay for it. I've had various price points, and I did a program called the Marketing Mastery Program for 4 years, and it was 1 year long, and everybody got a one-on-one session every month, and I looked at everybody's materials. I hired somebody to do some editing and stuff, and after 4 years, it was like, oh my God, I can't imagine doing it another year. It was just, I was worn out. I'd set up too much work. So I said, I'm just going to take a break for a year and take on some individual clients, which I did. I just promoted getting individual clients. I got some. I worked with them. I have my marketing club, which is my More Clients Club, which has ongoing membership, so I had some income from that. So I went a year, and then I said, okay, I really like groups. I'm going to go back to groups, but I'm going to scale it down a bit. I made it 9 months, et cetera, et cetera. So it was less, didn't trigger the stress response quite as much. Right. And it's been great. And now next year, I'm going to sort of find something a bit between where I am now and where I was, just a little more one-on-one work.
Right. Well, I noticed
finding that balance
in the Get Unstuck Process website, your one-on-one work page, and very accessibly priced for people. So that stood out for me. And it suggested to me that you were interested in doing more one-on-one work with people.
Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. And one of the things I have always found from one-on-one work, that it's true of group work, but often not at the same level of immediacy and fullness, is that when I do one-on-one work, the inspiration for writing, the ideas for developing programs, the juice for my own work just is amplified. And I had lost some of that in the group work. I felt more like I was crunching knowledge and spitting it out instead of kind of channeling wisdom and helping people connect with their own wisdom. And that's a juicier place to be.
Well, I discovered something this year. Actually, I got this from Arjuna. It's a teleconference thing called Maestro Conference.
I use Maestro.
Right. So that was kind of a breakthrough because I didn't have to always be talking on one person at a time. So I'd present something and I'd put people in groups and say, okay, work on that, do an exercise and stuff. So it was easier for me.
Right.
Other than some of the technicalities of Maestro, which I've got it worked out. And so, that kind of thing made it more fun. But I know what you're saying. You're trying to systemize it all so much and explain it all so much. And then you have the problem of people becoming true believers of your system.
Oh, I know.
Which is good on one side, if people are smart enough to really integrate that into their own thinking, and then some people it becomes a belief system.
Right, and it can be part of what keeps them stuck. You know, they're more about the gospel of Molly than they are about taking action in their business.
Right. So I call my groups the marketing action groups, and I always remember it's called the marketing action group, not the marketing think about it group.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
The marketing process it in your head for 6 months group.
Right. I just launched a small mastermind called the Traction Mastermind. And it's like, this is about movement, guys.
Traction Mastermind.
Yeah, for the same reason.
You know, it's a small world. You might know this person, Patrick Summer. Do you know of him?
I don't think so.
Where do you live?
Outside of Seattle, a little town called Suquamish.
Used to be in the Bay Area. We used to be roommates. He now lives in LA and is married. Anyway, still one of my very best friends. And I've been sort of coaching Patrick on marketing, and we've been doing sort of co-coaching and support for just years and years and years. He went from doing coaching at $25 an hour to doing coaching with top business owners at $25. How much a month? I don't know, $25 to $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in LA. His wife is part of a musical duo, and he supports them, and he goes out to all the things and stuff. He said, Robert, you know, I realized that I never really made Redondo Beach my home. It's just sort of like, you know, I've done all these things. I'm sort of not totally here. I haven't owned my community. And I've been kind of isolated. And I think of Patrick as, you know, can talk. He's one of the greatest conversationalists in the world and such a fun, nice, warm person. And he says, but I sort of keep to myself. And the other day I went to one of Renee's gigs, and I just went up to someone and said, hey, I hadn't seen you before, and blah, blah, blah. Before you know it, she turns into a client. And so this thing of really, you know, I don't know if you do this much, but I sometimes feel, you know, I'm in the total, absolute virtual world. It's just me and my friggin' computer, right?
Yes.
And words. And some talking. And, you know, to get out and connect with people, to talk with people. And I notice people are amazingly resistant to that.
Yes. I noticed that.
And I assume that they may be doing it, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're afraid to just come up to somebody at a table and say, hey, notice you're new here before, and talk to them.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, it's so valuable, and it does something, you know, beyond the business benefits of networking. It brings you alive when you connect with other people.
Yeah.
And it brings your ideas alive, and it reminds you that you're a human being and that there's a reason you do what you do, and it's enlivening in so many ways. And I have just recently started doing more of that deliberately, because I can live happily on my little block in Suquamish, plugged into the computer, unplug at the end of the day, garden, hang out with the grandkids, hang out with my husband, and never see anybody but the postmaster and the people at the convenience store down the street, and be really happy. But I started.
You sound just like me. I live in a little town called Boulder Creek.
Uh-huh.
And it's in the Bay Area, in the Redwoods.
Oh, wow.
I look out my window right over there, and there's a river in my backyard.
Oh, nice.
And there's redwood trees all over the place.
Right.
And I don't want to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Go up once in a while, right?
Exactly. But I've started to say yes to things, and going to a few more conferences, and just show up and experiment with having more real conversations with people. And some of that includes conversations like this on Skype, and but also just real face-to-face conversations, because I had been kind of turning away from that for a number of years. And it has a cost. And not just a monetary business cost, but a cost in terms of your own vitality, I think.
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah, very important to do.
So, have you done live workshops?
Not in many years.
Why not?
Many years. I haven't been, I've been afraid to take on the overhead and not wanting to do the planning. Yeah.
No, it can be somewhat arduous.
Yeah, yeah. But I live in a part of the world, as it sounds like you do. It's a perfect destination. I could take over a bed, and I've thought about this a lot in the last year or so, take over a bed and breakfast and have a 12-person live workshop and not a whole lot of risk.
Yeah.
Be pretty pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you should think about it.
Yeah.
I do a 2.5 day event for the people in my mastery group. Not my mastery, my marketing action group. I've done that. So I just I attended this. This was just a couple weeks ago in San Francisco, and we had 20 people there, and it was ridiculously intimate, and people left in a state of ecstasy. Everyone was just so happy.
How cool is that?
I gotta do this more often. I really do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do one for my group a year, and then one for the general, my list once a year. I'm gonna try that for a while. Even if I just get 20 people.
Right. Well, thank you for the nudge, because that's been kind of flitting around the edges for me for well over a year. And I get people saying they'd like to get together with each other and with me, and I've just kind of gone, do I have to? Really?
Well, we've done some interesting things. I mean, I've done a lot of workshops where I'm just, spewing forth my wisdom. It got old after a while. With the conference we did for the mastery group, we did open space technology.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we did that for 3 or 4 years. We got together and then made up topics on the spot, broke into groups, and just did those. And then after a few of those, I got tired of that because it was still, me talking or other people just talking in a conversation. So with this new one, I said, I'm going to do something where everything is an interactive exercise. Everything. And then we actually had 2 open space sessions where some people put together some stuff and did that. So we had a little of that, a little variety. But the interactive stuff, was just all exercises. We did a really fun thing about people having a marketing message and walking around and talking to everybody. This is what I do. And then you got a pass or a no pass. Okay, that's fine. I'll initial your book. Or no, I didn't get it. So you had to keep recircle, and then you had to come back and try it again. By the end of it, everybody's message had improved dramatically.
Wow.
In just 45 minutes, things like that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so we did a lot of interactive things and planning things and developing conversations, and I can't remember all the stuff we did. But you might want to try that. It's not a lot of effort because you don't have to be in front talking all the time.
Right. I love that. And exercise design. I've got a couple of friends who are brilliant at exercise design too. So I've got no excuses on that count. Yeah.
Have you ever collaborated with anyone on something like that?
I have. Do you know who Jennifer Loudon is?
No.
She's a fairly big name in the women's self-help world. And Jennifer and I did in fact, this was the last live workshop I did. We did several live workshops called Surfing the Edge of the Known. How to be on that edge of not knowing what's next. And some of the distinctions were like, what's the difference between vegging out and not knowing? That was really successful and very engaging, actually. Yeah. And certainly a whole lot less work, and we complemented each other very nicely.
Cool.
Yeah, good. Well, you got my thinking going in a good way.
Good. So I'm trying to figure out how to, develop relationships through people in Wisdompreneurs and just, being in touch with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're on my list anymore. I'll get on your list.
Yeah. I don't think I am, Robert, but I'll pop over and get back on because I'd like to stay in touch and kind of know what you're up to.
Yeah.
So, what's your website? We ought to at least give people a way to follow up with you.
Actionplan.com.
Actionplan.com. And do you want the new process? Is that ready for prime time?
Yeah, it's the unstuck process. Well, I'm officially launching it next Thursday.
Okay.
I'm offering the ebook, but the obsessive person that I am, I couldn't stop there. There's going to be a link to a Kindle book.
Oh my.
I'm making a hard copy book through CreateSpace that'll be a separate thing. I'm also doing an audiobook for it.
Neat.
So people can listen to the whole thing.
I love audiobooks.
And all these bonus articles that I'm giving away, samples of doing the unstuck process, things like that. So
good.
Well, that's for free.
Good. Well, it looks great. I love the mood of the website. It's got a very fresh and welcoming and kind of invigorating mood about it.
Right. It's all those sunrises.
That's right.
Sunrises in sky.
Can't miss.
Well, I got a guy to design the book, and he got this really nice graphic, and so I went into the place, I think it's Fotolia, and I found that same artist, and he had incredible numbers of these landscape vistas with huge amounts of sky and sun and stuff. So I had fun putting that together.
Yeah, that's great.
So, I'm also a designer. I've done that for years. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great. That's great. I often will go hang out at, photo banks to get my ideas going. So I have a bit of a designer in me, but I'm good enough to know that I'm not that good.
Right.
So I usually job it out.
Right.
I'm a lot better at recognizing what's not working in somebody else's design than in doing a good one myself.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, this has been lovely. I'm going to go search my blog and send you some links of articles that might be good for you.
Okay. I'd appreciate that.
And get back on your list. I look forward to that. And let's not be strangers. Let's do this again in a few months.
Okay. I'd like to do that.
Good. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, and goodbye.